Interest rates are extremely important as it affects your affordability to buy a home. But most people don't know when the lock-in period happens. So today we're going to break all of that down. So what is locking an interest rate? So basically it's a mechanism that lenders have that will lock in a particular interest rate for a particular set of time. Now that time is going to vary widely. They used to do a lot of 1-year lock terms, but with the market going crazy as it did, really a lot of lenders have pushed away from that. So really rates can lock from anywhere from 7, 15, 30, 60, 90 days. That's typically what we see. The short-term locks, like the 7 and 15-day locks, you really don't see that too much unless you didn't lock a rate and you did what's called floating the rate, meaning that you're not going to lock in the rate for a particular time for whatever reason that you decide. The other big piece to locking an interest rate is really when do you lock the rate? And my philosophy is pretty simple. If you are comfortable with the payment at the time that you go under contract, that's when you lock in the interest rate, which is another big important thing to understand is that when you go through the pre-approval process, a lender may let you know what the rate is, but by no means is that rate locked in. It will continue to float with whatever the market rate is, right? It can work for your advantage or it can work against you in the sense that if rates go up from the time that you're pre-approved, then you're going to be qualifying at a higher dollar amount. But again, this is why it's so important to understand and stay tuned with the market. And like we're always talking about, when rates drop, everyone then jumps into trying to be a homeowner. So you really do have a bigger advantage to just, if you're comfortable with the where the payment is to execute on that. Because as we know, as rates drop, values go up. So you actually don't save any money on the purchase. You actually end up just paying more money and more interest, which is something that we don't want you to do. And this is why we do things like videos like this to educate the veteran community. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button so you can get more content like this. Another thing that you want to kind of think about here when it comes to, using your VA home loan and your going under contract, it's all exciting. Lenders typically will lock interest rates Monday through Friday when the markets are open. So typically what we see is between 10 a.m. Central Time and 3:30, 4 o'clock Central Time in the evening. Now, obviously, there's also after hours locking. Basically, what that means is that they're going to use the prior day's rates to be able to lock a rate. And same thing on the weekends. Typically, lenders are not going to be locking interest rates, but it's possible that they can do so. But again, a lot of times there's no that big of a sense of urgency to lock unless something is coming down the pipeline from the Fed where they're going to be raising rates. But remember, when that's happening, the market is already building in that cost into the rate. So I think there's a lot of fear for people if they lock an interest rate. What happens, right? What if the rates drop, right? Locking a rate is basically hedging yourself against rates going up. But if rates come down, what options do you have? So lenders will, you just ask them, do they have what's called a float down option? So if rates drop, right, in the middle of your transaction from, example, 7% to 6%, obviously you're going to want to be able to get that lower rate. Now, most lenders have that flexibility. Some do not. It also depends if you're working with a broker or a bank. All that's going to be factored into this. Now, the way that you confirm if a rate has been locked or not and how long has it been locked for is on your loan estimate. It's going to indicate for you on there that the rate has been locked and when the lock is good through. Some words of caution. When locking a rate, the shorter the term or the shorter the lock period, the better pricing you get. Meaning that either you're going to pay less in discount points or the rate itself could be lower. But you have another side to that, is that if you have to extend the lock more than the lock period, then you are paying a fee for that lock. Some lenders will do day by day. Oh, I need a 3-day extension. I need a 10-day extension. Some will give you free extensions for a certain period of time. Not all, but some will. And that has an effect on the cost of the loan. And even if it's the seller's side, it doesn't make a difference. You're going to pay for it. And you a lot of times only have so many lock extensions that you can get. Typically that's 2. And after those 2, you're going to go to market rates, which again, in a rising rate environment, that could be detrimental to your purchase. You could potentially disqualify. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, how would the rate get extended twice? Like, what would cause that? And there's just so many external factors in a transaction. Like, well, what if the appraisal came back and it came back that it needed repairs? The sellers did the repairs and then the appraiser went back out. And guess what? There's still issues with the property and they have to go back out. It could be tax lien issues. All of that is going to affect the closing that a lot of people just don't think about because you're not buying a house every day. So that's why it can be a frustrating process. But again, the key is working with professionals that know what they're doing, can walk you through why those changes are happening because they affect your day-to-day life. You could be going out of a rental property, whatever the case may be, all that's going to be factored in. The cost of extension is going to vary widely. And typically, what we see is that if the seller's responsible for it, then the sellers will pay for it. Now, if you're responsible for it, you're definitely paying for it unless they do free extensions, which again, you talk to your lender about those situations because they should be walking you through that process. Now, there are definitely ways that you can lock an interest rate while you're pre-approved and shopping. It's called a lock and shop, right? Now, we typically don't see that because there's normally fees associated with that. So if you lock in an interest rate, but you while you're shopping, but you don't find a property, then whatever fee that you pay to the lender, you lose because they locked the interest rate. Now, again, different schools of thought on this. You can always buy down an interest rate if it makes sense, right? The numbers don't lie. You should get a comparison chart to show you like, well, these are what today's rates are. This is what you do if you have a buy down. That way you can see what it is at today's time. But again, a lender can't predict the future and you can have economic conditions that change. Like in just a couple of weeks ago, rates dropped a full percentage point. Over the weekend, there was an interview with somebody and basically markets shot back up overnight, which over the weekend. So again, that's why it makes a difference. Your credit score is going to have the biggest impact on your interest rate. That's why you should focus on getting the highest interest rate possible. The type of loan you get is also going to affect it. VA loans, obviously, phenomenal product. You should be getting the lowest interest rates out of any loan product out there, including FHA, VA, and USDA. Down payment will also factor in, and the type of property you purchase also factors into the rate, whether you're buying a single family, a condo, a multifamily, modular home, all of that. Construction, or if you're doing a construction loan, not buying a new construction, then it's whatever. All those are going to be factors in to your decision, into what your interest rate's going to be. And so just make sure that the lender's walking you through that because again, you want to be as informed as possible. Hope you guys liked the video today. Hit the like and subscribe button and drop any questions you have in the comments, any videos you guys want to do. Always happy to provide more content and we'll catch you guys soon.